can see that there are people from many countries, not only from Poland. So I'm really impressed, and that's great that you have found time and you are ready to listen to me. Today the webinar is more theoretical, because I think that all the teachers, or both the teachers and the learners, should know something about the learning styles they represent. Okay, it can help them, but of course meanwhile I will talk about some practical exercises which you can use as teachers when sorry. Okay, can you see my, can you see my screen? Yes, I think. It is a little bit more theoretical, but I hope you will find it useful. Okay, yeah, so because everybody has got the mind, okay, and teachers should know a lot about the mind of their students. Doesn't matter if they are young learners, which I am mostly interested in, or if they are adults or teenagers. Whoever you teach, you should know a lot about them. And we will talk about characteristic features of learners, which can help both the teachers to teach and the learners to learn the language, of course. But we teach different students, and we want them to achieve an exact level of English. And when we teach, moment, there is somebody I will accept, okay? We should decide, or we should take into the consideration if we want our students to achieve academic language proficiency, or if we want our students to be competent language users in terms of communication skills. Because then we will talk at different characteristic features, and I will come back to cognitive language proficiency and basic interpersonal communicative skills later on, while discussing the characteristic features of our learners. Okay, and of course, when we observe our students, when we see them in actions, we cannot always measure the qualities they possess, the characteristic features. We can say that they are motivated, but it is very difficult to discuss the level of motivation. Okay, we can say, okay, they are sometimes motivated, or they are motivated when there is the sun outside the window, but it is really difficult to measure, or sometimes it is almost impossible. Okay, we cannot also measure personality of our students, but of course we know that they have some personalities inside. The same about intelligence or aptitudes, okay? But we should try to know something about it, because those psychological features are really important, and it means that every student is different, and every student needs different activities, different attention, or the level of attention should differ. Okay, but it also means that we should, as teachers, know a lot about our students. And for example, we can ask our students to learn the rhyme. Okay, and when students see the rhyme, those who can read can look at those letters, can look at those words, and they can try to read it. And we can make them learn the rhyme by heart. Some of them will do it, because for some of them it will be enough just to hear the rhyme from the teacher. Some of them will learn it because it's enough for them to see the rhyme on the board. But I am sure that it will be better, much better, if we ask them to look at the rhyme, which is so colorful. They will learn the rhyme and they will remember it much better, because they will remember the numbers, they will remember the colors, they will remember the shapes of flowers, the shape of the heart. And we teachers know that they will even learn it better and remember it longer if we ask them to make or to write, as I say, the rhyme as it looks like that. So if we give them flowers, if we give them the heart, if we give them numbers 1, 2, and we ask them to put the words into the lines, then and they will they will take the craft with them, they will take it home, and they will know how to recite it from memory. Oh, of course, when they show the rhyme to their I don't know, parents, to their mothers, okay, it will be easier for them. And additionally, if we put the rhyme into the context, still it will be much easier for students to remember, and it will be much better for students to make the correlation between for example, the holiday and the rhyme. I offer students to make the craft, to learn the rhyme when it is the St. Valentine's Day, when it is Mother's Day, when it is Grandparents' Day, when it is the Teacher's Day. Okay, so if we put the language into the context, it will be much easier for students. Every teacher knows that, but it is because students have got some learning preferences. Okay, and that's what Lucyna has already said, that learning style is just an individual way of absorbing, processing, retaining new information and skills. Of course, now we are talking about learning English. It is just something which we are born with, but we can work it out, we can make it stronger, we can show students different learning styles, different learning preferences. We should show them why they learn some things faster, why they prefer some exercises, and it is good for us to know why students are better at doing some task, at completing some task, while they don't like some other task that much. I think that both teachers and students should know something. Students should know something about learning styles they represent, but teachers should know a lot about learning styles. And today I would like to talk a little bit about cognitive learning styles first. So I will talk about field independent and field dependent learners. I will talk about reflective and impulsive learners. I will talk about the brain, which is my favorite thing to talk about. Of course, I will talk just a little bit about it because it is just 1 hour we can spend on it. And I will talk about the tolerance of change. So it is really important. And of course, I will later on at the end, I will talk about perceptual learning styles, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic language learners. You know a lot, but I will just show you a slide which shows exercises visual learners are better at, and the same about kinesthetic or auditory language learners as well. Okay, so first, I would like to talk about cognitive learning styles, about field-dependent and field-independent learners generally, because when somebody is a field-dependent or field-independent, it's not only connected with learning English, it is just connected with learning, generally with learning or with seeing things, okay? And the exercise which can help us find out if students are field dependent or field independent language learners is find differences. And we do such exercises, and I know that teachers like that kind of exercise. I also like it, and I even ask really young learners to do the exercise, but you know that some of your students are not good at doing the exercise, while others are better, because those people who are field independent can see particular items and the whole picture does not disturb them. So students who are field independent can find out the differences faster. But people or students who are field dependent depend on the field, and they can see the picture. They can see the whole picture, and they cannot see the details as quickly as field independent here language learners. Okay, so and people who are, so that's the exercise which we should use, and we should make our students to become field independent. So if we know that students have problems with finding differences, first we should ask them to find 2 differences, then 4 differences, then 5 differences, then 7, then up to 10. Okay, so step by step we develop field independency with our students in our students. Okay, and people who are field independent, when they make a presentation, they start with details. Okay, and you know that when we want to start a presentation, when we want to make a presentation, we should start with some general idea. Okay, so students who are field independent will have problems with that. So we should sacrifice more time to those students to teach them how to make a good presentation. Okay, so that's what we do. Okay, and there are some characteristic features, of course, connected with field dependent and field independent language learners. Okay, field independent learners pick up hidden information in really completed drawing. They can see details. They are more analytical, so they will be better at looking or picking up some words in a text. They will be better at analyzing grammar if we ask them to do so. While on the other hand, people who are field dependent language generally learners, they will be better at finding general idea of a text. And when we ask students to work with a text, there is always a question connected with the general meaning of the text, and there is always a question about very detailed information. Why? Because we want both field dependent and field independent language learners to achieve a success. Okay, and if we know that students are field dependent, we should know that they will have more problems with finding answers to very specific questions. So it is good to put them into a pair with somebody who is field independent. Okay, okay, there is somebody else. Huh? Okay, so people who are field independent would generally like working on details. They like understanding everything. They like understanding all the words. They like understanding all the grammar points which we are going to present to them. They love drilling. It's not a problem for them. If they know that it will help them, they are really attentive. And those language learners are better at mastering academic language proficiency. Okay, while field-dependent language learners are people who prefer working in groups, who are better at developing communicative skills. Then they sometimes don't mind the mistakes they make. They want to communicate. They want others to know what they want to say. Okay, so they will use every possible strategies, which we can also talk about, to make others understand what they are talking about. Okay, so they are better at communicative skills, as I have already said. Okay. The good thing is that when we are smaller, we are field dependent, and when we are getting older, we become more field independent. But we teachers can can make the process faster, and we can make even maybe not children, but we can make teenagers feel independent language learners. People who are field independent are more independent, okay? So they like working individually. It's not a problem for them. They are really competitive, and they are self-confident. If they say something, they know that it is good because they have managed to find out all the details of what they have already prepared, okay? Field dependent people, on the other hand, they need other people to show them, to prove that they are good at language and what they have already said. But they are more socialized. They prefer they like other people. They are more empathic, okay, and they understand the feelings of other people. And all the features are important, and all the features are needed at the particular part of the lesson, and we at the teaching and learning process as well. So we need all the features among our students. And now I want to say a few words about reflective and impulsive language learners. Reflective learners, here language learners, make a slower process. It takes them more time to achieve a success, but they are more systematic. They calculate their decision. They think more or longer before saying something. They need more time to write. They need more time to say something. So they may seem too slow, but at the end, you will find out that that they are really good language learners, that they have achieved a success, and they know what the success come from. And if those reflective language learners like talking about grammar, they like being taught grammar generally, because the same as field independent language learners, they want to know the details. Impulsive language learners are those who are risk takers, and we need students to say something out of thinking, okay? But they sometimes say before thinking, and if we ask them to repeat what they have already said, they may have problems with saying the same, okay? But here the intuition is very important, okay? And we know that there are questions which we should ask students, and even when they are being woken up at the end, in the middle of the night, they should know the answers to. So that's the intuition that is very important here. Of course, while the lesson, there should be time for impulsive language learners. So if we show a picture and we ask, what's this, what color is this, etc., we want everybody to say something, okay? We need impulsive language learners if that's the beginning of our meetings with students, because then they are students who may help those who are shy, because they will say something and there will not be the silence during the lesson. But we should also teach our students that from time to time we need them to raise their hands, not saying anything, just raising hands and waiting till the moment we ask them to say something. Because if we only allow students to say, to answer our questions, there will not be time for those who are reflective language learner or who are shyer to say something. So from time to time we need both learners, but we should discuss with them when we need those or that features. And now right brain and left brain dominance. Okay, you know that everybody has got the brain, but each side of the brain is hemisphere, and in each hemisphere is responsible for different features. Language, of course, is in the left hemisphere, and it is really important to know it. But we need the right hemisphere to help our learners to learn. Okay, and here we have got maybe not everything, but we have got a lot which is in the left hemisphere. So left hemisphere is really important because language is there, logical thinking is there, calculation is there, generally thinking is there, listening, reading, writing. So the skills are also there. The analytical processing, which I was talking about while discussing field dependent and field independent language learners, it's also here. So those people who are field independent language learner, we may say that they have developed the left hemisphere more. Okay, so because it is here. Okay, the sounds are also in the left hemisphere. Okay, so we need it. Those people who are left dominant people are better at numbers. They are better at remembering words. They are better at maths generally. They are better at language. But we need the right hemisphere because there are non-verbal sounds, there is poetry, there are metaphors, there is music, there are pictures, there is art, there are colors. Those people who are right dominant are better at remembering faces, so they are better at remembering pictures, they are better at I don't know, performing, okay, but they cannot perform if they don't use the language. So generally we need both hemispheres to be developed, and of course to make it develop, we need the links. I will not talk about Lanneberg here, but you know the lateralization process, which some people say that ends at the age of 5, and it is not good if we don't start learning the language before the age of 5, because then we will not use the right hemisphere to learn the language. But some other people say that lateralization finishes at the age of puberty, and it means that teenagers can also make the links between those two hemispheres. Okay, emotions are also in the right hemisphere. So when we learn a language, when we teach a language, we should be emotional. Okay, because if we like something, if we like grammar, our students will like grammar. So we should make the link between grammar, which is in the left hemisphere, to the good emotions, which are in the right hemispheres. Okay, so the right brain oriented people people remember better visual, auditory images. They are better at perceiving emotional information. So if we see when we show them emotions, they will remember emotions connected with the language. They will remember it better. They are better at general meaning of a text. Okay, they are good at integration. So they like working in groups. They like working in pairs. Okay, so they like being with other people. So right brain dominant people. On the other hand, the left brain oriented people are better at logical thinking. They are better at individual work. They like working individually. They like finding out on their own the ideas, the meaning of words, maybe also the grammar. They want and they know how to do it on their own. Okay, so they are more analytical. Then the tolerance of a change. Why do we need our students to be tolerant? Okay, because they should be tolerant to every exercise we bring. They should be tolerant to every change we offer to them. Some people are just willing to accept new things. They are willing to accept new teachers during every lesson. They are willing to accept new books, new kinds of exercises, new kinds of routines. But other people are not tolerant of ambiguity. It means that they are completely unwilling to new teachers, to new ideas, to sometimes students don't like the changing the place where they are seated, but we should make our students sit in different places. Okay, so of course it is what is good. The good is the balance. If people are too tolerant of ambiguity, it means that they expect every lesson to be different. They expect that every lesson, during every lesson, the teacher will show something spectacular, something completely new, something completely surprising. And of course, it is impossible to be so creative that we should create every lesson in a completely different manner. Okay, while people who are completely intolerant of ambiguity even children will cry when there is a new teacher. Teenagers will not like a new teacher who appears. Okay, they will not like the change of the place. They will not like the change of the classroom. Okay, so both are good and both are not good, or neither of them is good enough. Okay, so we should change. We should make our student be tolerant to some extent, and we should make our student not to be tolerant also to some extent. Okay, so there should be the routine. Especially children love the routine. We should always start the lesson in a particular way. You can start with saying hello. You can start with asking students to stand up. You can ask students to have their desk completely, to make their desks completely clear. You can ask students to sit. It's up to you. You should discuss with students how you want to start the lesson and how you want to finish the lesson. You can also discuss some symbols which you can use while the lesson. Okay, the symbols should be the same. You can discuss about the signals which you can use when changing the activity, or when you want students to stop a particular activity. Everybody should know what signal you can or you should use. Okay. Okay, ktoś tutaj, sorry, wiadomość mam, okay, sorry. Okay, there is somebody from wants me to write the link. I cannot send the link because I am just discussing it with you. Okay, so we need teachers. Some teachers are also tolerant of ambiguity. Some teachers are not. And if we find our features, we should also work them out, because we cannot be too tolerant or completely intolerant of ambiguity, because it will not help our students. Okay. Successful language learners and successful language teachers are those who are tolerant of new words, of new grammar rules, of new cultural things, of new places where they learn or where we teach. Okay, but of course, to some, as I said, to some extent. Okay, then now something what everybody likes and what everybody knows a lot, but I think it is just in a nutshell. I can hear I can hear the noise. Can you do something with the voice? So we will talk about visual, haptic, kinesthetic, and tactile learners. Visual learners generally learn more effectively when they see. So they are, it's easier for them to read the instruction. Okay, they are sometimes not good at listening. So we know that they are good at reading. So when they read, we should read aloud. for them. It's not good when they read, because when they read, they will not understand what they read. Students should always read in silence, but while reading, they should be allowed to listen to the teacher's voice, because then that's how we teach them that listening is also the skill which we should develop and which is sometimes needed, and sometimes it is impossible to read. They will have to listen to, okay? Auditory language learners learn better when listening. Of course, there are not that many people who are auditory language learners, but we know that listening skill is the skill which we should develop since the very beginning. So language learners are really good listeners, better than people who don't learn a language, because we teachers give them a lot of listening tasks, and that is good for them because we make them visual and auditory learners. We make them both visual and auditory learners, and they can learn from seeing, or they can learn from hearing. Okay, haptic or kinesthetic or tactile learning language learners, generally sometimes they are just put together. So haptic means kinesthetic and tactile language or learning language learners, while kinesthetic are only those who learn from body movement. Okay, I also use hands and my body when talking to students, because I know that especially small kids love moving. And when they sit, they look at me. Sometimes they cannot move because I don't allow them to move. But when they can see me moving in their head, mind, in their brain, they also move. So it is it helps them. It helps them learn when they can see me moving, okay? Tactile language learners are those who learn from crafts generally. They like tampering, they like touching, okay? They have to touch the object to remember. It was something what I showed you at the beginning, the poem, the rhyme I ask students to learn, okay? For auditory language learners, it is enough to hear the rhyme from the teacher: 1, 2, yellow and blue, red, yellow, blue, I love you. Okay, they will learn it. Visual language learners would like to see the poem, which I have already shown to you, and they will look at the picture. They will look at the colors. They will look at the flowers. They will look at the heart, and they will learn. Of course, for all the students who are visual language learners, it is enough to see the written version of the poem: 1, 2, yellow and blue. Okay, while a tactile language learner would love to make the craft. Okay, and we all are combination of the styles. It is not like that we are only visual language learners. Of course, we may be more visual language learners, but we can also have some features from tactile language learners, okay? So the mixture makes us, teachers, prepare exercises which sacrifice all the learning styles. It means that we should use a lot of things, okay? So now something about visual language learners. They prefer to see written words, okay? They prefer to have a picture. They will close their eyes because they want to see the picture in their brain, okay? So sometimes, and when they try to remember or learn by heart the words, they also look at the word, look at the picture, and they close their eyes because something is happening in their brain. They will have to visualize the word, okay? And to help them learn, we use the right hemisphere, because in the right hemisphere, there are pictures, okay? So visual language learners have got links between the word and the picture. Okay, visual language learner likes observing, so they like the video. That's why I have recorded a lot of stories for children which I tell. I have recorded a lot of crafts which I make for the students, and students can make the craft together with me. You can go onto my YouTube channel and you can use the lessons, which are really, really, really nice. Okay, visual language learners don't like listening. They learn worse from listening, but you know that they should listen while reading. Visual language learners don't have the mess. Everything is in order on their desk. They are quieter. When they read, they like reading in silence. They may have problems when doing some exercises when there is the music, because it may disturb them. And it means that we should employ music while students do the exercises, because we know that in our real life, we are very often disturbed by the noise. And it means that we will not learn. No, we will. Okay, so we should employ music since the very beginning when learning, when teaching. Okay, visual language learners like sitting in front because they want to see the teacher, they want to see the board, they want to see all the details. Okay, so they love it. Okay, and of course they like art activities. They like the crafts because they can see something what is happening. Okay, okay, when these are the exercises which are good and which they love. They love video, they love films, they love newspapers, they love coloring books, they love illustration, diagrams, posters, etc., etc., etc. We teachers use it, and when you bring into the classroom those tools, you will know that teachers, that students who are visual language learner will love working with those. When we work with newspapers, we should give students felt tips. Colorful felt tips, and we can ask our students to find out, for example, verbs, and underline the verbs in every text in the newspaper, or in one text in the newspaper, green. And at the end of the lesson, we can ask students to read the verbs. Okay. During the second lesson, we can work with the same newspaper. We can ask students to take the red felt tip, and we can ask students to find out all the nouns, for example, and underline them with the red felt tip. So the newspaper will have words which are verbs which are underlined in a green felt tip, and verbs and nouns which are underlined in a red felt tip. Okay, then at the end of the lesson, we can ask students to read the nouns. Then during the third lesson, we can ask students to bring the same newspaper to work with the same text, and now we ask them to take, let's say, an orange felt tip, and we can ask them to find all the adjectives in a text and underline them with an orange felt tip. Okay, and they will, at the end of the lesson, we ask them to read the adjectives. Okay, and when looking at the text, they will see verbs green, nouns red, and adjectives orange. And we can do the same with with all the words you want. Okay, it can be also done with prepositions or suffixes, prefixes, whatever you want. So the whole newspaper may be colorful, and it helps visual language learners to learn the words, and they will love the activity. Okay, those students who are auditory language learners may have problems because they may find working with the same newspaper with the same text boring after the second or the third lesson. But of course, we should make them do it. Okay, people who are tactile or kinesthetic language learner will like the activity because they will like tampering with the newspaper, they will like underlying. Okay, maybe they will not like reading the words the same as visual language learners last, but it is also the kind of the activity which you can use with students who are more advanced, not students. Okay, auditory language learners remember better when they hear, and they like the oral instructions from the teachers, but at the same time when they hear, they should read the instruction. Okay, so we should also make them use the reading version to find out that it is also the strategy here which they can use when while learning. How you can notice that you have got auditory language learners when you ask students to read a text. Those students who are auditory language learners will whisper, or at least they will move their mouth while reading because it helps them. Okay, they like it. For auditory language learners, it is very difficult to work in silence. Okay, but of course the sudden noise may disturb them. Okay, but they like working when there is the music. When there is no music, they tend to sing. Okay, especially when there is the song they like, or when there is a song you ask them to you present them at the beginning of the lesson. Okay, so unfortunately, unfortunately they hum or they talk to themselves. Okay, so it may be disturbing for the teacher, it may be disturbing for other learners, especially when those who sit very close to them, but when they are bored, they have to talk to somebody. If there is nobody they can talk to, they talk to themselves. Okay, they sit when they can hear. Okay, so when there is a speaker at the end of the classroom, they would love to sit there. When there is a speaker in front, they would love to sit in front of the classroom. Okay, so they don't have to see the teacher, they don't have to see the board, they just have to sit in the place where they can hear. Okay, and what they love group work, they love debates, they love discussion, they love musical performance. Okay, they love songs, they love raps, they love verbal games, they love recitation, they just like every oral exercise in which they can be involved. Okay, they like listening. So these are the exercises, these are the things which you use. Okay, which you teachers use, and you know that auditory language learners will love those kinds of exercises. But of course, every student should be involved in every kind of exercise, even if we know that auditory language learners love working in pairs or in groups. From time to time they will have to work individually. Even if we know that students who are visual language learner love working individually, they should work in pairs or in groups. Okay, so we cannot forget an exercise. Okay, kinesthetic or tactile language learners remember better when they do. They love acting, they love performing, they use hands when talking, they cannot sit still, they have problems staying or sitting in one place, they enjoy crafts. Unfortunately, they love eating while learning. If they have to perform, or when they have to sit in silence, they like having something in their hands. At least if it is good when at least it's a ball pen or a pencil. Okay, they need to be active and they need breaks, breaks from silent activities, okay? You know, when we work with kids, we know that there is time for them. They can sit for 15 minutes. Then we should ask them to stand up and do some activities. They have to move their bodies, okay? But then when we have got teenagers or when we work with adults, we forget that among them, there are also some kinesthetic or tactile language learners, and they really need breaks. They need to stand up. They need to move around the classroom. Even with grown-up people and with teenagers, of course, we do find someone who activity, which means moving around the classroom. Okay, so from time to time, just involve that kind of activity which will satisfy the needs of kinesthetic language learners, because they just need it, okay? Students who are kinesthetic or tactile language learners like sitting in a place from which they can easily get up and move. So they don't like sitting in the corner. They don't like being somehow blocked from having a possibility of being free. They will find reasons to move when they are bored. Okay, they will do it. At least they will tap the person, or they will kick the person who sits in front of them. They love dancing, they love modeling, they love board work, so they like being asked to go to the board and write or draw something. They like role plays, they like experimenting, they like working with workbooks, because then there is always something they can write in, they can color, they can draw, etc., etc. Okay, and they like having lessons outside. So a good activity for them is for example, in spring we can go out and we can give a list of things students can find out during the trip, and they have to find out how many trees they have managed to see on the way from school to, I don't know, home, how many flowers, how many people, etc., etc. Okay, so it's a very nice activity for them. So because when they can move, when they can do some some crafts, then they are really satisfied. And again, we organize all the activities, we use all the exercises while working with all the students. But teachers should keep in mind that some students will be better at them, some students will enjoy the activities, while others may not be that satisfied. So we, again, during the lesson, we should make the mixture. Okay. Then some now almost the ending. Somebody has asked the question. Okay, I will finish in a moment, and there will be the time for you to ask me questions if you don't mind. Okay. When you as a teacher understand the learning styles of your students, you will meet their needs. So you will make them be better language learners. If they know what language style they represent, it will help them to understand why they have some problems with some exercises. Okay, of course, teachers represent some styles as well, but and then when you are, for example, a visual learner, it will be much easier for you to present exercises for visual language learners. Okay, and you will do it with more pleasure. But of course, you cannot forget about the styles or the learners who do not represent the style you represent. Okay, as I told you that we should make the mixture of exercises, because we should sacrifice the needs of all the students, and we should meet the expectation of our students. Okay. And of course, something about testing. Okay, while testing, we cannot forget about every learning style. Okay, so there should be something for students who are, for example, visual language learner, something for auditory language learner, something for field independent. So at least one exercise for one particular learning style, and then students will be satisfied with the test, because then they will know that if they are good at finding differences, they will also find the kind of exercise during the test. Okay. We should make our students be aware of the fact that they represent different language styles, but we should make them be aware of the fact that they should develop also, and they will develop, and they will learn from exercises they are not good at that much, they don't like that much. But if we make our students aware that there are exercises which they are not really interested in, but the exercises will help them be better language learners, they will do, and they will have finished the exercises. Okay, so now you can see my address. It's okay. I will stop and I will come back to the chat. Okay, now thank you so much for being with me for 1 hour at least. And if you have any questions, you can ask me now. Okay, have you got any question? Can you ask? Do you want to ask a question? I have. Okay, I can see the chat. Share the PowerPoint. Okay, there is a question. Can one teacher alone identify the different learning styles of their students, or identifying them is the result of the observation of a group of teachers of various subjects? Okay, well, it depends. There are a lot of tests you can ask your students to fill in according to which you can find the learning styles of your students. But of course, while observing them, you can also find out what language style they represent. And if you know that they have some problems with a particular exercise, you may predict that he or she represent a particular language style. Okay, are there any other questions? Lucina, I don't know if you can see any questions.
I don't see any other questions.
There are some comments that it's
comments,
good.
yes, very positive comments. People are impressed with all these detailed classifications that you have presented to us, that will help us to order our teaching activities for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's what I have seen. Okay, that's good. The other subjects which we can talk about can be language strategies, language learning strategies. Okay, it may, but I think we can come back to it in September or October, if you don't mind. Okay, learning strategies. It is somehow connected with learning styles, because it also helps students to learn generally. Okay, so we can. So I can see that people like more theory as well. Listen, I don't know if you're.
Such is my impression, yes, because it makes us realize what is behind our teaching efforts. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
And how people, how we can expect people to react to us, that our assumptions made about our students are sometimes false without this theoretical background.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's why from time to time I said that every teacher should know what language styles they represent and what language styles their learners represent as well. Okay, yeah. I think that some of the people will be at our conference in September. I will be there. Lucina, I know that you will be there as well. Yes. So you are all warmly welcome to Poznań in September. I will have a few presentations and I will be present all days, so we can talk personally if you don't mind. If there are no questions, I don't know, Lucina.
Yes, we can close this webinar, but I would like to end this webinar on a very high note, because your offer to talk about language learning strategies is an excellent offer for September. You know why? It could be the opening webinar in the next year's series of webinars by IATEFL Poland. And that would be perfect, yes? So we can
some people are asking about more information about the conference. I can see the raising hands of Salina. I don't know, have you put the link? The conference?
Yes, I have added the link to all the information about the conference, and it's available on our web page. So even if you haven't copied the link, just go to IATEFL Poland web page and everything is there. And you are more than welcome to participate in this conference.
Yes,
and
really.
present a paper if you have one. Yes, if there is some kind of expertise that you would like to share with all of us, you are more than welcome to do it.
Yeah, we would like to see all of you and each of you there, of course, and more and more.
Wait to see other people face to face. Yes,
at least.
Yes.
Okay, so again, thank you so much for being with me. Should I send my name here? I don't know why somebody is writing such a thing.
No. Could you recommend any of the reliable tests to check what learning style?
If you write learning style test, the Google will show you a lot. There are a lot, and there are a lot which are really good.
Uncle Google will help you.
Yes. Okay.
So the final remark,
to get the certificate.
Grateful. Amazing presentation. Thanks, Urszula. Let me quote this one from the chat box, and see you at the next webinar. Remember, we will have a chance, all of us, to celebrate International Children's Day together with our guru, and that is Ula.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you on the 1st of June. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Right, I am stopping recording.